Praise God. Welcome to Just a Thought. So, for today's thought, we are going to focus on the smallest word in the Bible. Jesus wept. John 11:35. And we might be thinking, what is this two words? It doesn't bring out that much of a meaning. It just says Jesus cried. But there's a lot of deeper meaning into the two small words. In John chapter 11, when we read, we can see Lazarus, Martha, and Mary, they are close friends of Jesus. And when Jesus was out of town, Lazarus falls sick and he dies. Jesus stays there out of the town for 2 more days and comes back after 4 days. Now, by the time Lazarus had been put inside the tomb, when he comes, Martha, she comes running to Jesus and tells him, God, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And Jesus tells her, even now, if you believe, your brother will rise again. And when Mary hears it, she comes crying and she comes and tells to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Now, when he saw Mary crying and the Jews around her crying, he couldn't control himself. Jesus started crying. Now, this human emotion, even though he was God, relate to us in a big way. When we read in Mark 12:29, one of them they come and ask Jesus, what is the greatest commandments? And Jesus tells them, the greatest commandment is our God is the only God. Jehovah is the only God. And you shall honor thy God with all thy strength, all thy mind, all thy soul. That is the big first and the biggest commandment. You shall honor thy God with all your heart, soul, and mind and strength. And the second commandment, which he says, is, you shall love thy neighbor as thine own. And he says, these are the two biggest and greatest of all the commandments. You shall honor the God, the only God, and love thy neighbor as thy own. And when we see here Jesus crying, that is the second commandment which Jesus said, you shall love thy neighbor. Where Jesus is displaying that second commandment, he is teaching us that second commandment, you shall love the neighbor. And he goes to the tomb, and there he is doing the first commandment. He is saying, God, he is honoring God during that time. Even after 4 days, when Lazarus had been dead, when everybody keeps on saying he's going to stink in there, his body should have been rotten. But Jesus is standing there and giving thanks to God and telling God, God, you have always answered my prayers. And I thank you for that. So, Jesus, there, he is honoring the first commandment. He is telling, he is honoring the only God, and he is loving his neighbor as his own. So, within that small two words, when Jesus wept, the greatest of two commandments is proclaimed over there. And when he honored God and he called out Lazarus to come out of the tomb, Lazarus came out of the tomb even after 4 days. Sometimes our prayers might not be answered right away, but God is telling us, keep your hope, keep your faith, and honor God at all time. Love your neighbor as thy own. And when you do, and when you follow those commandments, God is going to proclaim his miracle on us. And Lazarus came out alive. And because Lazarus came out alive, many people who were gathered around there, they believed in Jesus. So the next time when you read that words, Jesus wept, you might be thinking, it's not just two words. One is honoring God above all things, and the second one is loving thy neighbor as thy own. May God help you with these words. God bless.